Hello. That's a bit better. Hello, everybody. Hello, Jamie. Oh, let's get rid of that. Chris, John, and Frank. It's Lee. Chris, thank you. I'm like a Twitch streamer. Evening, what's all this then? Big galah. Well, this is a watch along. I thought it. First of all, sorry, is my audio okay? And is the video quality okay? Is there any problems that you can tell me about that I need to sort out? Dirty Papadom, you're here. Papadopoulos, hello. Andy Taylor. Matt, it's Mr. Desmond. Matt, I need to apologise to you. I'm so sorry. When I did the roundup of things that I brought home from the cave in the video a couple of weeks ago, the package that you'd given Henry to give to me, which should have been included in that video, was put in with all of the boards that I took to the cave and forgot to give to everybody. And I found it recently. So the VIC-20 and the ZX-81 Sound Blaster thing were in there, and I'm really, really sorry I forgot. But I'll work it into something to say thank you on video to you anyway. While in Lee, did you visit the retro stall at Lee Market? No, I didn't. I didn't know that was a thing. If I'd have known on a Saturday, yeah, probably would have tried. Hello, Stephen. Stephen Usher. Oh, what a legend you are. Very lovely, lovely man who's helped. Him and Julian helped me enormously with the ZX81 sound card thing. Sounds okay. Thanks, Russ. And Daniel Green, hello. And thank you, Papadopoulos. Ewan's here. James Pearson. And Todd's here from yet another retro channel. Hello, mate. Right. Please don't forget to like, yeah. Hello, I missed the start because of a sudden visitor and my live chat takes a moment to load. Well, okay. Well, that's it. We've finished now. Sorry, Gat. This is Rune. Oh, hello, Rune. How are you? And Tero, how are you? Right. So what I was thinking I could do in these little streams when I've got an hour spare occasionally is pick a video from my very, very early back catalogue, which isn't going to be the most comfortable thing in the world for me to watch. And I did not check out where to go in the retro directory. That is a massive oversight. So pick a video from my early back catalogue and we can watch it together. Because, look, if I go to oldest, this is my More Fun Making It website. If you go to oldest, some of these videos, well, the first one's got 2.2 thousand views. That's fine. But some of these other ones, they've only got a few hundred views. And, well, the pinball did well, quite well. But I was thinking, actually, what we could do is watch this video here. The Specky repair one. Bad Ram ZX Spectrum repair. And the reason... oh, come on, we can have a group cringe fest. It's the first time I've seen a stream of yours. Love the video. Oh, thank you, Laughing Purgatory. Dice Man is here. So I did used to do live streams quite a lot, but they are quite a lot of work. So the reason that I'm doing this and I'm doing it this way is because this is really easy. I can just sit down, put a video on, and have a chat with you lot, and that's going to be fine. But the ones where I used to do fixing things on a live stream is hard. But look, I've done some live streams in here. The charity ones are obvious, but the pinball build live stream videos are quite something. And I've even done some gaming in the past. Now I'm not going to take those down. So, look, I was thinking we could do this. Where's it gone? Oldest. The first repair video that I did on my channel. I was going to do Project Terricade and show the build of that, but I think that might be a hard watch for many. Although, look, let's just for a laugh. Hey, Lewis, how are you doing? Let's just for a laugh. I'm going to start playing this Terrycade one, and you can have a little go of this. I'll pause when I want to talk. Arcade machine for my neighbour Terry, making it out of 18mm MDF. This is the plan so far. There's a few things to add to. Right, so the first thing. Don't I look young? Is this avatar over here on the right hand side is my ZZ Lee ZZ. This used to be me online. That used to be my name online, and I used to be in a podcast called Ready Player 2, and which was like a gaming centric podcast, and we used to do live streams, and we used to do a podcast, and we had a YouTube channel, and I was part of a group, and that was my online name, and this avatar was made by one of us, the lovely, oh god, I can't remember her name. That's terrible. This is just old man brain kicking in. It was Richard, Lewis, Ross, and Elle. Sorry, Elle, if you ever watch this. Elle is an artist, and she made these avatars for us. And the Zimmer frame is because I'm old. I'm wearing a VR headset as well, and the wires are coming off of it at the back. And this little car here is because Richard and I, the main host of the podcast, used to play Rocket League all of the time. And that's where that came from. So I've still got the T-shirt from when we used to go to EGX as a podcast, which is great. So that's all I wanted to say there. There's some buttons to go on the front here, start and select for each player. USB ports in the front here for player 3 and player 4. I think mostly this is mostly the plan finished. I can show you the inside. So we've got two accesses. One is the back door. That one. I've just noticed that Paul's in the chat. Hello, Paul. That's a mighty fine looking pinball table. He would want to watch. I'm sure he's seen the videos, but Paul is the person that bought the pinball table, for those that don't know. He is my fixer, Chris. He's more like my pimp, actually. Right. Sorry, Chris. I'll try and keep the noise down. Echo. Is there an echo on the microphone? What I'll do then is I'll just turn it down on my speakers, so I don't really need to hear it very loud. You can see the bass speaker and the two speakers either side. How's that? Still not sure whether to mount the speakers inside the marquee facing down, or there's going to be gold trim T-moulding, brass effect, polished brass T-moulding, and it's going to be a candy apple red automotive finish. And these speaker grills that he's just ordered are going to be gold as well, kind of like a brushed gold, so they'll match. But I don't know if there might be a bit too obtrusive. So I'll have to keep remembering to unmute my mic, but I have got a mute button. So look, we don't want to watch this one. It's a bit dull, and not really. The woodworking thing that I did back then is a kind of a different thing, and very different to, I'm sure, everything that everybody who's actually watched anything on my channel would expect. So let's go back and watch the first specky repair. Now I need to talk about the thumbnail first, because the thumbnail was one of my first kind of success stories, and I think, so I'm not sure about these two Atari ones here, but this actually works. This one, the elk repair that I did all that time ago, that thumbnail was actually made by Rose Tinted Spectrum, and we created the Big Red Arrow Club, which is a YouTuber's Discord, and we started sharing ideas and methods for video making and thumbnail creation. And Rose Tinted Spectrum Dave is amazing at making thumbnails. He's really, really good. I learned everything I know from him. And that thumbnail for the piggyback ram fix was his work, but the specky repair was my idea. So that one, I can't point at it because it keeps auto playing. Yeah, that one was my idea, and that one I think did so well. 11,000 views for an early video did so well because I was aping the meme of somebody holding the soldering iron wrong, and yeah, that's why that's there. But let's have a look at this one. Hey, back to the start.
Hello, and welcome back to the increasingly inaccurately named More Fun Making It. My name is Lee, and today I'll be sharing with you my first experience repairing a broken ZX Spectrum. A properly broken one. Not just, oh dear, a rubber foot fell off. Oh no, an actual broken one. Broken as in some of the magic smoke has been let out of this poor old thing. I bought this 48K issue 2 Specky as a project knowing it would need to be repaired. This seems to be a growing pastime these days and is reflected in the price faulty Spectrums currently sell for. Since buying this one at close to £40, I've seen numerous Speckies in good working order sell for less. But buying one that's already working means you only get half the fun, so I suppose the price is a fair reflection of its entertainment value. As usual, I should point out that I am, at best, an enthusiastic amateur, and that these videos...
And nothing has changed. I just checked the playback quality on here. I don't know why, but I'm sure I released these in 1080p, but maybe not. So this was recorded on the Workbench that I use now. So it's very soon after I made this Workbench, decided I wanted to make videos with a top-down camera, which was a phone. Everything was recorded on a phone, and I didn't have a microphone on the bench like I do now. I did all the recording on the microphone that I'm using here now, just a Yeti, and just wrote a script and read it off the screen and then added it to the video later. But that was that was me then.
Should not be seen as tutorials, but more as part of a journey I can share with you. If you learn anything, well, that's on you. I can't be held responsible for your feelings of incredible personal growth. This is my first issue 2 Spectrum and is likely the same as my first Spectrum back in 1982, so this is probably my second issue 2. Okay. The ULA is a 5C112E-3, which was among the second revisions of this chip. This fixed some of the issues found in the earlier 5C102E, but probably for giggles left some that required the inclusion of the spider mod you can see squatting over the CPU. The ULA we have here runs fairly hot compared to later versions, and it's recommended to desocket it and solder it directly to the motherboard with a heatsink stuck on top. I'm reluctant to take those steps. Removing a 40-pin socket from a fragile motherboard of this age is no easy task and carries some risk of damage. If this was an irreplaceable part, I would be more inclined to protect it by going through these steps. But there are now modern drop-in replacements for the ULA. This chip has lasted this long being baked by the voltage regulator dumping heat into the enclosed case, and I'll be doing something to remedy that shortly. So heat shouldn't be as big a problem. Maybe this will mean the ULA could chug along for another 40 years. Who knows?
I'm quite interested to see this because, well, for a start, I wonder how much the Nebula is now. And to compare it with the old prices. But the thing that struck me on this was that my attitude hasn't changed about removing ULAs. I know a lot of people do that, but I think that the payoff of you removing it is, it's not an easy thing for most people to do. I can almost guarantee being able to take out of most Spectrums without damaging or taking that socket out, but actually removing the socket from a Spectrum motherboard is a bit more tricky because you can't get to the other side unless you chop it up. There's all sorts of ways of doing it, but then you still risk damaging something. Or I don't know. Watch material whilst ideal watching material whilst I'll wait for this 10-hour 3D print to finish. Lee, I have to say you're among the small. Oh, I'm gonna blush if I read this one out. Thanks to you for showing us all that mortals can pick up an iron and actually work on our old tech and give it. What you're basically saying, with your long-winded thank you, Andy, is that any idiot can do it. If I can do it, any idiot can do it. Brain fight, is that spider? It's that was a spider mod. The cockroach mod is the one on the issue ones. That. Oh, yep, the cockroach one is issue one. About double the price now. £35. Yeah, getting close to double with postage, I suppose. Afternoon, Frank. No, Nebulas. I'm pretty sure they're still in. Or they're in stock constantly now, but parts will start to get scarce again. It's Dave. Hello, Dave. How you doing, mate? Right, let's carry on.
The state of this voltage regulator is of concern. I shared some pictures of this on my Twitter feed, along with the theory that it was soldered in place by a plumber with a hammer, probably on a Monday. There's far too much solder on the top side, probably hiding a multitude of sins. And if we look on the other side, not enough here. This will be the first thing to replace. Before we get into that, a quick run through some of the tools I'm using.
Ooh.
Some lovely Rosencore 6040.
Oh, I didn't mute. Sorry. So this solder was the solder I used at the start. And it was the best solder I've ever used in my life. And it was just like an eBay purchase. And I managed to buy it like twice after I bought the initial reel of it. And it honestly, nothing has flowed like that. It's probably highly toxic and really, really unethical. But it was not too much money. And yeah, just the best solder I've never been able to get as good a fillet on a solder as this. Hello, Rob. And I just removed all of the 4116s from an issue 3 ZX81 RAM pack. Found a bad one with the tester wheel socket and refit in the morning, but for now, a few drinks and watch some vids. Cheers. No worries, Adrian, and well done. I've got a ZX81 RAM pack that I've got to do exactly the same to. Sounds like a little Timmy joke. And I always wondered why uncommitted. Surely it's committed to generating video. Yeah, it's true actually. Like I say, Lee, I can't do electronics because of physical problems. But yours is my go-to channel for watching educational, entertaining studies of circuit boards. It's just like a 2020 RMC live stream with all these pauses to talk about nostalgia. Yes, nostalgia about nostalgia. Oh God, this is Inception nostalgia, or nostalgia Inception. Vicarious engineer. I like that. Right, I'll mute it properly this time.
Leaded solder. Do your own research on the pros and cons of molten heavy metal. Tweezers. These are incredibly useful. Different sized and shaped tips make them even more versatile. And you can buy these in a set for not very much money. A solder sucker. It doesn't have to be a fancy one like this engineer Japanese made one. In fact, I still use my old cheapo I've had for years for more delicate solder slurping jobs. The engineer one is very powerful and I've seen it suck pads right off of old circuit boards. An essential solder wick. Apply flux to cheaper wick to make it work similarly to more expensive wick.
Okay, so the tweezers, I replaced those because those ones were junk. I've still got the engineer pump. That still works just as well as the day I got it. And I still use the gold one as well for like getting a big load of solder off or something. And that wick was junk as well. I use MG Chemicals wick now, which is brilliant. You don't need to add any flux to it. Yeah, the Japanese one is brilliant. Recursive nostalgia. Yeah, I got all the Canadians in. I was watching your workshop upgrade series the other day, then proceeded to upgrade mine. I blame you, Lee. Sorry. I really enjoyed doing that. I want to do that again. In fact, I want to do this end of the workshop. I want to completely rip all of this out and do it again. But that would mean not making videos for a while, and I don't want to do that. Can I ask a personal question? Are you from the West Country originally? I was trying to guess since you do seem to pronounce your R's. No, my family are all Londoners, and I'm from Suffolk. I was born and bred and raised and dragged up in Suffolk. Sorry. I recently got a large roll of what turned out to be thin and crappy. My workshop used to be the living room. No, my workshop has always been in here. I've always been, we've lived here for 3 decades plus now, and this is my garage, and it's always been my room to do what I want with it. For a long time, this was, in the Amiga days, my desk was at that end, and I built it out of MDF and had a huge desk with multiple levels and massive, Iama 19-inch Vision Master Pro thing on there, and a big stack of PC and Amiga format magazines by the door. This has been my office, games room, and now workshop forever. I was actually joking with my wife earlier today that I should take over the dining room in the house, and that I didn't really fly, that one. Let's carry on.
That's today's cheapskate tip out of the way. Something it's worth spending a little extra on is flux. This Topnic SMD no clean flux is amazing. It comes with a brush in the cap to make application simple and efficient. That being said, a flux pen like this will do just as good a job, and I still use this one on less delicate joints. Just be sure to clean the flux off after. No. No. Topnic is okay. It's okay, but it burns off straight away, so there's no rework that you can do with Topnic flux. It will do a joint, fine, but it's after that it's gone. It evaporates instantly. I've still got that flux pen actually, and I just haven't used it in ages. I just pick up the syringe now. I can't remember which flux it is, but the one that I use, I'll share it in Discord if anyone's interested. But yeah, Topnic is fine for a joint, but not for much else. Static wristband, preferably attached to ground. Some flush cutters. These are another essential. You can work with traditional side cutters as found in an electrician's back pocket, but for precision work you really need something with a little more finesse. Isopropyl with traditional side.
So these side cutters, I used to be an electrician, and these were my side cutters whilst I was an electrician. And there's a notch out of there where I cut through a live cable, and they're just shower of sparks and molten metal. That was fun.
Cutters as found in an electrician's back pocket, but for precision work you really need something with a little more finesse. Isopropyl alcohol for cleaning up flux. This bottle is the 99.
Wow. I've forgotten how. Right, so I've given some of this away. Fuzzy Lee asked me if I had some spare isopropyl alcohol, and I gave him, filled up his spray bottle when he came round once, and I thought, I better, because it got down to about here, so there's probably only just under a litre left. I thought I better order some more, and so I've ordered some more. And that was probably a couple of months ago. It's still in its box. I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere in here, and I still haven't finished this. And this is what is this? 4 years ago now. That's how long it lasts. So that last litre, although it won't any longer be 99% because the ratio of alcohol to distilled water will have increased or decreased. It's probably still going to last me another year and a half. It goes forever. Right, carry on.
% proof stuff, and my little silicone mat. This is to save my workbench top from burns, and also to stop small things sliding around.
Still use those. I've got a red one on the workbench now, but I'm not sure where the green one is. But yep, I still use those. They're really, really handy.
Although I seem to have painted the back of this one in Amiga beige. Let's get this 7805 regulator replaced. Before I began this, I ran through all the initial checks you should perform on a suspected broken Spectrum before risking turning it on and causing more damage. These checks can be found on the excellent Jolspur Column YouTube channel, which I highly recommend you check out if you need to troubleshoot a Spectrum.
Julesper Coolum. Someone had a pop at me in the comments for saying his name wrong. And I'm really cringing watching myself trying to get this solder off of these legs. That would be like an instant job now. So this soldering iron was a cheap soldering station that had soldering iron on one side and hot air station. So it was some Yahoo type thing, which was really bad. But I always made sure that I bought the original Hacko style tips or branded tips so that I at least had something that was going to work reasonably well. But yeah, I'm really cringing watching that. But what is the other zero? Oh, the other zero. Yeah, distilled water. Something. Time for me to get back to. See you, Rudy. Right, I've seen the blades of someone using the blade of someone using a reciprocating saw to cut through cables that they thought were dead. There wasn't so much left of the blade. Oh. Just what I needed a bit. Polymat is here. Hello, mate. How are you? Right.
The result of these tests showed there was a problem within the power delivery part of the circuit and pointed to either TR4 or TR5 transistors being faulty. It's a very common point of failure, especially on issue 2 boards that haven't had the extra recommended DC components fitted. We'll be getting into that a bit later.
There's a big cut there because on the other side of the board, I've put the solder back, and that's not taken. I mean, those joints there are still full of solder, so I really think I struggled with this, and I can remember struggling with things like voltage regulators because there's just a bit of extra thermal mass there that you have to defeat with the solder to get it, and I just wasn't confident enough to keep the soldering iron there long enough for the solder to flow all the way through and then suck it out. I'd probably had some bad experiences at that point, but yeah, that's not the best. That's, can't beat a moo gun. Peter, you're absolutely 100% right. I think I had one soon after this.
I'm fitting a Traco switching voltage regulator instead of the 7805. There's some debate over this, which revolves around keeping the Spectrum at its original spec, but this is a compromise I'm willing to make. The heat generated by this 7805 used to be enough to keep one side of my old Spectrum hot. I still remember feeling the heat under my right hand during extended manic minor sessions. And that heat will steadily dry out the electrolytic capacitors and age the keyboard membrane. The Traco also runs a lot more efficiently, which is good for the planet and my pocket. The two transistors, TR4 and TR5, are, I believe, responsible for generating the...
Whoa, did you see that? That was pretty slick.
Which is good for the planet and my pocket.
Here we go.
The two transistors, TR4 and TR5, are, I believe, responsible for generating...
Whoosh! Straight out. Look at that. No messing around. I actually saw that method from... the guy that... the guy that does the Harlequin kits. Someone remind me. Ben Versteg. Did that on a live stream. He was fixing ZX Spectrums, and before I started taking on ZX Spectrum repairs myself, I'm just looking at that solder point under there. Look at that. That's definitely not a good solder point there. What is that on? It's on a logic chip. Anyway, yeah, Ben just he did. I don't think he even added some solder. He just basically ran a soldering iron across all three and yanked it out with his finger. I thought that was quite impressive, but I don't do it that way anymore since I've got a desoldering gun. Carry on.
Volt rail. Again, not an expert. I do know for sure that if one of these is faulty, it's very much worth replacing the other one too, due to the likely chance it was damaged at the same time. The Jolsper column tests show a likely fault with one of these, but the surest way to know is to remove it and test it out of circuit. The simplest way I've found to remove a component with more than 2 legs nice and close together is to flood the 3 pins with solder, which allows you to heat all 3 at the same time. Then grab the part with some tweezers and pull it out. Once the transistor is out, either solder braid or a solder sucker to clear the holes, sometimes both. And what do you know? This transistor has magically transformed into a pair of resistors. All of the parts I'm using were bought from retrolium.co.uk, who gave me excellent and super speedy service. Here's a couple.
Fabulous. So I still use Retrolium occasionally. Because I'm doing so many repairs for Paul, we tend to order a bunch of parts like capacitors in bulk now from the big suppliers. But for anyone else that is not fixing dozens of ZX Spectrums at once, I would recommend Retrolium over buying from anywhere else, because the prices, while they are definitely making money and they are probably buying from the same place that I'm buying, they aren't making that much on them, and it's worth it because you don't have to pay the postage that they have to pay. You know, there's a premium on small orders from RS Components and Mouser and the like, and you're going to get a kit of capacitors which includes transistors for the composite video mod and things like that, and it will be a kit that covers all of the different revisions of ZX Spectrum motherboard. Right, hi Lee, I love your content. Thank you. Learned so much about diagnosing old computers from your videos. Oh, that's your fault, not mine. Do you actually? I made that joke in this very video. Yes, I have a Patreon. It's probably not in the link in this description, but I do have a Patreon. Hey, I wonder if I can get it from here. It's one sec. And you can find it in the links to all of my videos. And in fact, that is the wrong link. I've just realised that I've got the wrong link in my latest video. Pro. Here we go. Patreon link. Boom. And there's a free tier. So anybody that's watching this that is interested in the stuff that I do, you don't have to join Patreon on a paid tier to get extra content. I regularly release extra videos to the free tier and above on Patreon, so that I'm trying to build up a community on there, and it doesn't mean you have to pay. But yeah, thank you for asking. Waiting until you've got £35 worth of stuff is the way to go from DigiKey. But I always have that, that FOMO of I'm making an order and I know that there was a project that I wanted something, a part for 3 weeks ago, and I forgot to write it down, and then I've just stopped myself from ordering half the time. But I've got a whiteboard up here and it's actually got a section on it called Order Me. And then usually I have the parts there, but I've cleared that off recently because I've bought all of the bits that I need. Let's carry on.
A couple of new transistors, a ZTX 651 in TR4 and a ZTX 751 in TR5. Inserted paying attention to the silkscreen for orientation. Gratuitous close-up shot.
Wow! I didn't know I'd done this in this video.
Watch the solder freeze. Lovely. I did snip that top lead shorter once I had the microscope out of the way. I'm now confident the power issues are fixed.
Wow. I honestly forgot that I'd done that, and that used to be a tiny, weird little USB microscope that I used that was so hard to get focused on the thing that you were trying to make the shot of. Obviously now I've got much better microscopes. Frank, thank you so much. That is really, really generous of you. Keep up the fantastic content, even if you do listen to Factor of Matt. You have to listen to Mr. Desmond, because Mr. Desmond has the biggest brain on the planet. Sorry, I missed something from Gat earlier. Best place for a translucent smoke effect 48K case and keyboard would be ZX Renew, probably, but there are other places do them. Legend, thanks for more fun leeing it live stream. What is this? Hello, Nefus. What is this sorcery? Glad I caught this one. I'm going to chill and listen. Not really. Peter's got this thing about the ZTX 751 not being an appropriate sub there, but it works. So if it works, it's appropriate. It's fine. It isn't an exact match to the original, but it does work. It's fine. There isn't one that has the polarity the wrong way around. No, that's there's a capacitor on the issue too that's the wrong way around, and the boards with transistors the wrong way around are grey 128K plus 2s, extreme and close up. There's one on the particular, yeah, like Peter says, he's definitely something. Thanks, the kidney. Thanks, Peter. Portuguese name. Well, I'm blushing right now. Hello, Noodle Music. How are you doing? Right, we shall continue. It looks like I'm doing a composite mod now, and I'm interested to see. Oh, I've already got the capacitor out, so it's definitely that version. And it looks like the capacitor from Retrolium, so I would have just bought there.
But before I test, I'll do a composite mod to make it easier to get a picture. I like to leave the mod reversible just in case a future owner wants to put things back to stock. That sleeving on the resistor might not be considered stock now. I've mangled it a little. Next, I desolder the 5V and video signal connections to the modulator and fold the leads up over the edge of the metal case. These are no longer connected to anything but the modulator itself, and once the case lid is replaced, are in no danger of coming loose. A 100 nanofarad capacitor, which was supplied with the recap kit along with a couple of other extra parts we'll see shortly, will be the new connection between the RCA jack and the motherboard video signal.
Well, I do that bit quite a bit different now, so I have the cap is a lot neater than I've shown it on here. But everything else is pretty much the same. Even burning that sleeve on that resistor, I always seem to burn that. Do they do a clean comp for the Spectrum 48K? The composite mod can just be a piece of wire on a 48K Spectrum. It will just work. You don't need to really do this capacitor mod. I like to do it because it can be more compatible with certain displays, but most displays won't even blink an eye at displaying the signal straight off of the video out point on this motherboard, this point here. Not a problem. See you, Rob. Take care, mate. Hey, say hello to Oliver for me, please. He's one of my youngest viewers. Lovely lad. Right, see you, Ewan. Take care, mate. Yeah, the Specky is a great learning platform for fault finding and repair. The process is so well documented. Yep, and the Specky is a great platform for fault finding and repair because there are so many Spectrums that are broken. Peter uses a transistor for the composite mod. It does very much the same thing. Right, carry on.
And with the composite mod mostly complete, we'll come back and finish it a little bit later. It's time to test. Oh, the screen is very blue and quite flickery, but
there's my microscope. That is the microscope on the right hand side there, that thing. I think someone gave that to me. I think I've still got it as well. I might have given it away. I tend to, when I've finished with the tools that I'm not using anymore, I tend to give them away. The workbench is looking very different. It's quite a different state of affairs. This, I think I still use this. No, I made a new one. I made one out of plywood, but it's very similar to that. And it's got a 45-degree this is called a French cleat, so I can hang it on the wall. But yeah, and manky old white toothbrushes. You don't want those on the internet. And the door's open and it looks like summer. Lovely. It's really nice looking back at my workshop years later and looking at the things. I mean, that drill press is still there, but has probably only been used a handful of times. I might get rid of that because it's a bit of a waste of space for me. I don't use it anymore. Right, carry on.
The system does run. We can work with this. With my Dandinator cartridge in diagnostic mode, there's a fault indicated in 2 of the upper RAM ICs. I can ignore those for now, and while replacement memory chips are winging their way to me in the post, I decided to work on the display issue. The first thing I needed to know is the ULA faulty. If it is, then it'll be one of the most expensive parts of the machine to replace. The RAM ICs, for instance, are just a few pounds delivered. A replacement ULA would be in the ballpark of the price I paid for the whole system. This is easy to test when you have another similar vintage Specky though, and it turns out the ULA is fine.
Woohoo!
Just in case there's something strange going on with the faulty RAM, I decided to remove it. The Spectrum will function fine in 16K mode until I get it replaced.
Well, that's different. I would have, my methods now would be to find out exactly where the problem is. Did it come up on the diagnostic
blue and
test?
Quite flickery, but the system does run. We can work with this. With my Dandinator cartridge in diagnostic mode, there's a fault.
Right, it is saying IC19 and IC20 are faulty. So, okay, fair enough. Right, let's watch me get some RAM chips out, because this is going to be something that I wouldn't have been very comfortable doing.
The Spectrum will function fine in 16K mode until I get it replaced.
Well, there's only music at the moment, so I can have the microphone on. I am cringing hard. None of those holes look clear to me. It looks like I'm just taking the solder off of the top. Oh, I can't remember how this video goes. If I get these out without... Oh, it looks like I'm going to use heat. But even so, if I get these out without damaging anything, I'll be amazed. Oh, too small a nozzle. You want a wider nozzle to heat an area. And I'm not moving it around enough. Oh my god. What year was this? This was 4 years ago. Probably... Yeah, it must have been 2021. Looks like I got that out okay. Is my workshop a separate shed in your garden or a purpose? It's a garage. It's on the side of my house. It's a brick garage adjoined to the house. Nice and secure. Don't burgle me. How did we do? Capped on tape as well. I hate capped on tape.
The next thing to replace are the 2 transistors near the modulator. These are an option to be replaced when...
I've gone off on a tangent here. Why have I gone off to do the transistors over there? I wonder if this is because I'm still getting the problem. Yeah, the RAM is still out, so I don't know. Yeah, it'll be the trimmer pots. Yeah, definitely. That's exactly what I was going to say. Peter's just pointed out what the problem is. I think you mentioned a border thing too. I can't remember. A solution for those trimmers is on its way from PCB Way, I'm told. Oh, nice. Oh, that would be handy. There's a box C64C nearby for £40. Tempted to buy it, if only for parts from my current C60. £40 is a pretty good price. Not bad. It's about what I would consider paying. Andy says the best way to learn is to do. I 100% agree. And the best way to learn is to do it wrong. Sounds like the music from one of the Sims games. This would have just been YouTube Music Library. I was going to put a hobby hut in my garden, was looking at purpose-built places with insulation and power. Yeah, no, quite a few people have done the same thing, and it's hellishly expensive. I almost had to do that myself, but the problem that we were having went away, and I managed to hang on to this is my happy place. If I don't have this, I would not be able to function as a human being. Russ says, I'm looking for a C128 and or Amiga 600 programming projects. I have my workbench set in the boiler room, says Taro. Not bad. Neffers, does it have the SID? No, I wouldn't be so worried about the SID anymore, because you can just stick a SID kick Pico in there. Keep an eye on Happy Little Diodes. Oh, will do. Okay. Everybody should subscribe to Jim at Happy Little Diodes. He's brilliant. Yeah, testing and working. Cash generator kind of deal. Nice. Yeah, pick it up.
Doing the composite mod, especially if the resulting picture is dark on a modern screen. I'm replacing these with BC549 transistors, which are a direct replacement but need to be reversed from the original orientation as indicated on the silk screen.
Wow, did you see that little caption come up on the bottom left? I'm never that fancy anymore. I misspoke. I'm actually using not a pine seal, but that was a Secure, which is like a TS100 clone. So yeah, I wasn't using the cheapo station that I used to use. Hello, I'm a coconut. How are you? Jim fixed my old 48K a few years ago. Yeah, he's amazing at fixing ZX Spectrums.
The picture did not improve, which is not really surprising. The next thing to replace is all of the capacitors. It's an old computer with date codes of 1982 and 83, and given the heat generation...
Right, now we've got a lovely wide angle here. So this wall here is where all my tools are, and on here. My cameras hang up here, but everything is a bit higher. Oh, actually, some of them are still up there. That looks like chisels and things, maybe. That clamp there is how I was holding the phone camera. So that's a camera mount with a grip, and I attached it to this piece of wood, which I've masking taped to a box full of nails. That's quite interesting. They're still using the same masking tape, not the same reel. Wonder what that lead... Oh, this lead here, I think, is for my lighting. Oh, no, that's the soldering iron power supply. That's a big, beefy 70-watt power supply, 24 volts, and that's the soldering iron I'm using at the time, which is a Secure. Which was okay. It wasn't too bad. That chip puller there went in the bin. Oh, I might still have that, actually. No, I've still got that. I kept it as a reminder not to ever use it. I don't know why. It's a terrible thing. I'd hate that thing. What else have we got? My old TV. That TV there used to output on the chassis 100 volts, which was mad. Oh. I would connect it up to a board and then connect the Earth connector off of an oscilloscope to an Earth on the board, and it would start sparking like crazy. And I was like, what the hell is going on? It took me ages to work out that the something had gone wrong with this screen, and it was, yeah, the chassis was 100 volts live, which was great fun. And Jim's here, who's just given me £2 as payment for plugging his channel. Thanks, Jim. I actually plug you again in a video. I think this weekend, my next fixing video, you get a heavy plug in that one. But only because I use one of you. I've stolen. Right. So this is actually interesting that in that video that I'm on this Saturday, I use one of your methods to isolate a pin. I'm not going to talk about that now because I don't want to spoil it. But in this video, what we're watching now, this with the board in a vise, although this isn't the kind of vise that Jim was using. This is how Jim used to, I don't know if he still does, I think he does, remove his capacitors by heating one side, holding the board in a vise, heating one side and pulling them out the other. I learned that from Jim all the way back then. Cheers, Jim.
Generated by an issue 2 spectrum with an early ULA, it's likely most of the capacitors have dried out to some extent. But will this fix the video issue? Well, after replacing the first capacitor and testing, it seemed the picture was now acceptable. So I fixed it, right? Well, no, not exactly. As I replace the capacitors one at a time, I test to make sure everything is still working. Saves tracking down a bad capacitor or a mistake. And after replacing the very next capacitor, the video returned to the same bad output I was seeing before. So, not the caps, or not those ones. A side quest here, the DC mod that brings these issue 2 boards up to something more reliable is also included as part of the capacitor replacement kit from Retroleum. I've done this mod on an issue 3B board before, and on those it was a lot more complicated with more components. On the issue 2 it just needs an extra capacitor placed here and one of the resistors changed. The instructions are helpfully included with the capacitor kit.
Looks like I got bored of the Jim method. Sorry, Jim.
I have incredibly fond memories of my Spectrum. It wasn't my first computer. That honour goes to the dainty ZX81, a computer that was at one point rumoured to be so cheap they would eventually turn up in boxes of breakfast cereal. Much as I loved my ZX81, it was a brief...
That is actually true. I remember that being a rumour. I'm not actually kidding about that.
Fairly frustrating relationship. Soon ousted by the Wonderkin with the colourful stripes and the keys you could press down. Of all the memories I hold of that part of my life, the time I spent with my Spectrum peering into a grainy TV from just a few inches away, hands resting lightly on the rubber keys, eyes wide in wonder.
Did you see behind then there was just a stack of boxes on the wall behind? That whole wall just filled up over the next year of with boxes of retro stuff. Yeah, we all look like that, Matt. Adrian says, learned so much from you guys. Well, brilliant. That's your fault. You need the Maplin vice. Yes, I have got a little vice that I used after this for that sort of thing. But yeah, a vice is a really good tool to have on a mobile one. I've got one that I think they call it a pin vice. No, I can't remember. They call it a vice. So I'm making everything purple. I don't know. And issue 2, don't remind me. Still not got around to fixing the one I broke yet. Got the dia cart and scope recommended to me on the Discord. Right, yeah. Thanks to everyone for the help with that. Right, and we carry on.
Are the memories I have with the most colour and warmth. It's also the first computer repair I ever made in my life. My keyboard stopped working, which meant a trip to the local computer store to purchase a new membrane. Another vivid memory peering into the guts of my computer, which I had never to that point opened up.
Boring. Get on with it. Why isn't he getting on with it? Oh, we all blame it. Henry, actually, Andy. Even does anyone else find watching repair videos relaxing? Like it's not my responsibility to make this work again? Yes. My dad got C64 when we were stationed in Germany very early too. I was 6 when I wrote my programs on it. It was never mine though. That honour belongs to a CPC 464. Ah, nice. Engineer sucker, still not needed to buy a pump, just need the old clean. Yeah, they are really, really good, but my technique is not good enough to use them. Jim, I wouldn't do this with my old videos, we'd all fall asleep. Yeah, look at this bit though. I mean, I really need to know how to... I think I used to struggle to speed things up in the software I was using at the time. So I could only go so fast. I would chop a lot of this out. I would also be using closer camera angles to keep it a bit more interesting. And speed it up a lot more than this. I would probably have said, yeah, I changed the caps and then cut. I need to start writing up how I do certain models. Yep, and yes, I need to run spectrum repairs. Lots of rabbit holes. Just gave up in the end. Oh, no, don't give up. It was that other guy. Henry's here. It was Chrissy. He's chilling. That's a word with two meanings. More for sure. My newfound make everything in the 500 plus purple is for you. Sure. Oh yeah, I did have a thing.
And with
for
all the
purple
capacitors
boards
replaced, has the video issue been resolved? I think you can tell by my anguished groan it has not. I'm poking a finger at each of the chips to see if anything is getting hot. Also to see if pressure on the chips changes anything. No heat and no change. In the end, the problem turned out to be the adjustable resistors that needed tweaking. My apologies for the experts watching that have been screaming the answer at the screen. I'd been avoiding touching these as my understanding was that this was something that required an oscilloscope to do well, and I'd recently sold my very old analog one that would have been perfect for this job. After looking up alternative solutions, I found a website link in the description that described how you could achieve the same or similar results using a multimeter. I did this, and as soon as the last tiny tweak was made, the picture sprang into perfect colour with no interference. It's actually a nicer picture than my issue 3B. The memory IC soon arrived from the lovely Retrolium people, and keen to get the repair completed, I set about installing it. At first I was a little confused by the lack of a cutout or mark on the chip denoting the
no sockets! Henry! Oh no! What?
direction this should be installed. But in the end, I took a punt, which turned out to be right. I know it's popular to install sockets for replacement RAM. I didn't find it too difficult to remove the faulty chips, and I think sockets are a little ugly on the board. Plus, they're another potential failure point. So I decided to solder the RAM directly to the board. Ready for a close-up?
Oh yeah, look at this. Look at those solder joints. That solder I was using at the time just made perfect solder joints. I mean, the white balance is a bit off here. It looks like I'm doing this by candlelight. It's kind of warm, isn't it? That was the thing with that microscope. It was horrible.
And does this new RAM actually work? Is it even the right way round?
Ah, it's going to work.
The Dandanator Diagnostic. The colour is still off here, as I still needed to tweak the resistor settings as I filmed this part. With all the inside gubbins now repaired, it's time to put it back together and make it look pretty. For cleaning, there are lots of options to choose from. For really grubby cases, I would usually just dunk it in a big tub of warm, soapy water and get scrubbing. This one is fairly clean already, so I'll just give it a going over with IPA. For this, I'm using 70%.
Oh, never clean a case with IPA now. That's a big no-no. IPA hazes plastics. Don't do it. Don't do it, kids.
Proof. The extra water in it stops it from evaporating so quickly and is better at removing the dirt from the surface. The zombie flesh keyboard is also pretty clean and only needs a mild scrub.
Yeah, I didn't like that last music I was using, but this is alright. More upbeat and hopeful. Right. Don't use a... Right, I'm going to have to skip some messages. That's pretty got to be... Yeah, it was
Luckily,
leaded
the
solder.
keyboard membrane is still in.
Matt, it was something I bought off eBay ages ago and I could never find again. Soldering with gold. Biggest mistake I made was selling a Jupiter Ace. Oh, right, this is the machines you've sold. All of my machines, basically. Right, I need to get this finished because we've got to be done by 9.
In excellent condition. This must have been replaced at some point in its life, as an original would have poured from the case like a desiccated Dead Sea Scroll. It's a little grubby, so I gently clean it. I also removed a few millimeters from the ends of the connectors off camera. You can see the metal keyboard overlay wobbling under my hands here. When I first got this Spectrum, I discovered this was stuck down with blue tack. Probably not the ideal method. The metal shield is also bent from being pulled up when someone has tried to remove it in the past, which can be quite tricky to put right. The more you try to unbend these, the more they tend to kink and warp. Before I attempt the unbending, I need to remove the old glue. Mostly this is just hard work and scrubbing, but I thought I'd try something designed to remove nail polish. These wipes don't contain any acetone, as you would normally expect to find in nail polish remover, which is a good thing. I wouldn't want that getting onto parts that might get damaged.
That not long after this, probably, I don't know, a month or so after making this video, I threw that pack of nail varnish remover away because I left one of those pads somewhere and then put some plastic next to it and it touched it and it just really destroyed the plastic so quickly. I didn't want to take that risk again. Yeah, and like Peter says, there's lots of better ways of taking the glue off than acetone. It's a bad idea.
The wipes do a great job removing the glue. I need to keep a tub of these in my toolbox.
Sounds a bit Minecraft now to me.
At this point, I'd already taken the worst of the bends out off camera, but I will show how I did this and try to take the last kinks out. A vise is a very handy thing to have. This one is called a nippy. It uses a cam action to nip the piece you are gripping. It can exert a lot of pressure, so with a couple of pieces of paper in the jaws to protect the surface, it's ideal to straighten the faceplate. You won't get every part of the bend out, but it certainly gets close.
That really is a good vice.
Double-sided tape, another toolbox essential. The last job is the white ZX Spectrum logo needs attention. It's not too difficult to remove the old paint with some IPA and a quick wipe over. I was confident in my brush skills that I'd be able to hand paint this with a tiny brush and lots of patience. Well, my patience soon ran out after a few attempts. I couldn't get a finish I was happy with, so I moved on to a different method. I'd seen Real Jam Hamster off of Twitter do this with dense foam, but I didn't.
Real Jam Hamster is now on Blue Sky and he's still making amazing things. And yeah, that cracked me up seeing him fail with the foam on this. This kept me awake at night, this thing. And it looks like I still haven't cleaned all of the gunk around the letters there, so I don't know how that was ever going to work properly. Paint pen, yeah, that's the way to go. See you, Jim. Take care, mate.
have any of this to hand, and the attempts I made with less than dense foam were not satisfactory. In the end, I discovered that a pencil eraser dabbed carefully did an excellent job. It took a few coats, but the final result was pretty good.
I hated doing this. I don't think I've done it to a Spectrum since. It's a horrible job. That looks all right. I think I could be quite proud of that. The Z has some, a little bit of an issue.
And to finish it off, another tip from Real Jam Hamster. Renaissance wax gives an amazing finish to these old computers. It looks especially good on textured black plastics like this and the Atari 2600, and will help protect the surface from being handled with greasy paws. Speaking of the 2600, in the next episode I'll be repairing and restoring at least 2 of these. So you have that to look forward to. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye! Nah, what a muppet. Do we get to go back? Right. Yeah, I'm not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Let's go through the chat first. What type of paint is that? It would have been acrylic. Matt, works really well for this type of work. Great surface tensions. Hold it onto the letters. Oil-based works really well for this type of work. Okay. Oh, it might have been oil-based because I was using IPA to clean it off. So maybe it was. I really don't know. I haven't done it since, and I don't intend to do it again. It looks better than the factory. Yeah. More paint on your fingers. Yeah, I took it off many times. Yeah, I'm not painting any of your Spectrums. No. Someone mentioned a 3D printed press for the faceplate. Maybe we could make a 3D printed stamp that does the puts the paint back on the ZX Spectrum logo. That would be all right. The YouTuber's job to learn the hard way so no one else has to. Hello, Andy. You all right, mate? Yes, but after all that, can it run Crysis? Yes, definitely. That paint job has to add a few more FPS. For real, this might sound daft, but there's a few guys on YouTube that do Matchbox, Hot Wheels, model restorations. They have a wealth of info on decal paint stuff at smaller scales. It's a really good point, and there's a lot of information that you can gain from looking outside of our little niche here. 3D printed stencil, yeah, something, or a PCB stencil, like a stencil that you use for the solder mask, not for the solder mask, for 3D for the surface mounted stuff. Yeah, that's a good idea. I've got 3 minutes left. Thank you very, very, very much for watching along with me today. I really enjoyed that, so we're definitely going to do this again. And the most important thing about this, yes, screen print, yes, but the letters are really close, so it's going to have to be something that off of a really hard roller. Solderable stencil, style stencil, that could work really well. Yeah, I've forgotten what I was saying now. Yeah, the most important thing about doing this is, I always really want to talk to people that watch the videos. It's one of the things I enjoy the most. As I've said multiple times, watch out for the video that's coming tomorrow. And this is one of the ways that I can do that. But in the past, I've done live streams and it's just been too complicated and I've been too ambitious. I need to do something where I can just sit down and talk with you guys, and it doesn't have to be my videos that we watch. We can watch someone else's videos as well, and be nice about it. Yeah, nice to see your growth into the role now. I hope oh, bless you. Most important thing, keeping to your end time. Yeah, I definitely have to keep to my own time because it's bedtime in our household. I always enjoy your videos. Thank you, Peter. Cheers, Mickey T. Thank you, Lewis and Andy O. Henry says, thanks, Lee. I enjoyed that and hanging out in the chat with everyone. And Adrian Glover says, enjoy this. Keep up the good work, everyone, and all the best. That, or just put the live stream on while you're working on a device or for a main video. Can't really do that. I have toyed with that idea. What I might do is I have and Paul will be pleased to hear this. I have all of the machines that Paul sent round on the last thing. There was 20 something machines. Quite a big chunk of them only need mundane things doing to them that aren't video episode worthy, things like composite mods and similar stuff to that. But I can do live streams with so I can talk to people while I'm doing that work. That might be an option, but I quite like, sitting down as well. It's something I don't often do. Hi, I've been lurking in the background, but I love your videos and have subbed for the past few months. Keep up good work. Thank you, PMC Retro Gamer. Build an arcade cabinet. Paul? No, I'm not swearing. Right, anyway, yeah, live stream video premieres. Yeah, they don't work so well because I release them in the middle of the day. So, well, maybe in the future. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Oh, there's quite a few of you as well. I will see you in the next one. But yeah, watch out for tomorrow's video. Tomorrow's video is it's a road trip one, and I go to the Northwest Computer Museum for a jumble sale. And the weirdest thing ever happened to me that day, and I show it at the end of that video. So watch out for that. It's really, really weird. I mean, like it was aliens. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you again. Bye. Oh, end.